Go live. Going live. 1, 2, 3. You're live. And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Boy, do we got a good show for you tonight. We are going to be talking about Atlantis. Somebody's got their thing up. There you go. 3, 4. I'm live.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't expect this to happen.
That's all right. And tonight, everybody, we got Lucky Smith or Lucky Stone, whichever it's going to be tonight. I don't know. Your dual personality as my co-host. So that's all right. And Big Al, he was dropping in and out. I don't know if he's going to make it again, but we're going to talk a little bit about the cards he's making. Remember, he made the Soul Tribe cards, and he's still got decks. He's still got to send me a couple of those decks, and he's making the new cards, and I think I've purchased some of those too. So you got to pre-order them, and when he gets enough orders, he's gonna purchase them up, and then everybody will get their cards. But you got to pre-order because hey, that's the way it works, because they cost a ton of money. And as we know, money is in short supply, except for if you work for the government and you just make numbers and give out more money because you just print it. Hey, don't worry. We got 33 billion. Hey, over there in the back room, print up 33 billion. See there. Yep. They're going to print. Don't you worry. Oh, somebody's starving. Print up some more. You said what? A trillion? Don't worry. Put a trillion up. And that's how it goes. So easy come, easy go. But you know what? Nothing's for free, because guess what? Somebody's paying. And as they say, more taxes for you. You're working. And anyway, we're enough of politics. We're not here to talk politics. It's just got to make some light of it. And laughter is the best medicine, as all of you know, that you can laugh your way into health and good favor. And remember, you got to say mantras. I'm Lucky. I want to commend you for all those mantra things you do. Now, tell us a little bit about that. Has it been helping?
Oh, absolutely. I do about half an hour a day. I do the meditation. Meditation's easy. Whatever it is, walking meditation or sitting meditation, or laying meditation, it all works. But the mantras, the daily half an hour of course, I start with the regular one, which is what Wayne created, and I modified a little bit for my own way. And then the other one by Lorraine, I have them all in front of me too, which is even funnier. Hers I end with, because it's more of a summing up. It's in. Then I have ones in the middle, which is I live in a friendly, supportive universe that loves me and wants me to be happy and succeed. That was created by Joshua P. Warren. Everyone corrects their own little mantras. Well, I combine them all together and I read them. It takes half an hour. Hell with it. I'll do a half an hour a day of just reading mantras and being positive in different mindsets, and I add favor in there, and prosperity and abundance and grace and peace and love and joy and abundance, prosperity, and money, add them in there. And each of these names, favor, grace, prosperity, abundance, money, they're all their own little beings themselves. What are they called? The egregores. Oh, you can't see the book, but yeah, Wayne's book, The Egregores. I own a copy of that.
Oh, yeah. I know he sent me the PDF, and how do I get out of this? Anyway, I'm fiddling with the computer. Sorry.
Yeah, you're driving the bus.
Yes, I always try to buy those books myself. I like having a hard copy. I like to sit there and read, and have it right there with me. It's and then now I got quite the collection, because every time Wayne says I got a book or somebody's got a book, now I got a whole mess of books,
What
and
happened?
I sometimes order
This one?
extras.
This one doesn't work. This one. I'm just amazed with some books appear and
Use the
some don't.
Force. Yeah.
Oh, just Joshua Pye Warren. He combined Star Wars with mindset. It's interesting. You know, that's actually he's an interesting guy. He's kind of he's like P.T. Barnum meets scientist kind of thing. He's always into this crazy stuff. But interesting guy.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm always up for a good read on certain ones. It takes me a while because a lot of times I'm tired at night or I'm at work, and I work a lot. So
I understand. Yeah.
But hey, you know, I finally finished that book that Ryder Lee wanted, something, what was it, the Crystal Mind of the Universe, or something Palace, or well, I can't remember the name of it. It was on the tip of my tongue. You know which one it is. I'm sure everybody else is. But the thing is I finally read. Oh, man, that's fascinating, and I want to try to get. Have you read that book?
I don't know. I might have, because the PDFs. I've read a lot of PDFs.
I don't think we've had that PDF out, or there was a PDF. I just bought it.
I don't know. I don't, because there's so many books. Unless I have them right in front of me, I don't know which ones I've read. And the PDFs, I dumped I try reading PDFs. That's why I bought the Agora book, because I tried to read on the PDF. I just couldn't get anything out of it. And now I got the physical book.
Yeah, well, what happens, like the PDF, I print them out.
Yes.
Yeah, it costs me a lot on the ink, but I'll print the book if I can't buy it or whatever. I'll print it out, and then I put it in a folder. You know, like here. Hang on a second. I'm squished for stuff here. And okay, so this one's called The Book of Secrets. It was an old book. You couldn't buy this.
Yep.
And so it took me a while, but I printed it out.
Oh, you went all the way.
And then, you know, it's got the things, and then I just bought a punch, and then now it's just like a book. See, look, Book of Secrets with studies in the art of self-control. And I really like this book, you know, and now it's like a real book, and I really like it.
That's the thing, on the internet, you get something like this book, The Invisible Helpers.
Oh yeah.
Wayne was talking about that. You can't buy this either. And I printed that myself too. Same idea, because I just could not get PDFs. It's great having access to them, but I can't read PDFs.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm old school too. See, and then I just put a thing on the front. See, and it says Book of Secrets, and I'm like, well, it's just like having a book, only it's bigger. Yeah,
I understand that.
Hey, it's the way to go. You know, if you can do that, and you got a printer. I know not everybody has a print. Okay, yeah. I know she wants the chickens. I got little chicks, and
I hear them.
She wants to eat the chicks. Oh, why is this not working? Or it is working, but it is. Close this one out. See if I. This is not my friend tonight. Why is this not working? Hang on. I'm gonna have to do something different. I'm driving the bus. Anyway, what are your thoughts about tonight? Oh, hey, whatever I did, it worked. Just like that. I got me a really cool new mouse too.
That's nice.
It lights up. You know, it's got little pretty lights on there. That works good. Everybody's coming in. I just want to say hi to everybody. Mary Wins is in the house. Big Al, he's somewhere in Alabama, headed to Georgia. Walking Water, thank you for coming. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I know everybody wished me a happy birthday. Thank you, everyone. Max Vision is in the house. Remember, Max usually has a show after my show. Pamela Jean, thank you for coming. Deborah Sloan, Jules, I'm sure she's listening. She hasn't been feeling too good. I hope much well wishes to her and everything. And sorry, Mary, I haven't sent you that book yet. But anyhow, okay. So tonight we're going to talk about Atlantis. Now, the thing is everybody talks about Atlantis. Where is Atlantis? What is Atlantis? Where did it come from? And tonight we're going to kind of go over a lot of that stuff in the skim of it. But here's the thing. I think that a lot of us in our past lives probably were there in Atlantis, or were Atlanteans as a group. Now here's what I've come up with. I think that back in that time, before a great cataclysm, magic was in the air. Multiple civilizations of different types of humans and giants, living side by side. Back in those days, there were beasts and serpents, that have gone to the wayside long ago, and we don't remember. We know, we always want to know our history, but we can't remember. And so I beg all of you to take some time, close your eyes, and meditate on what Atlantis was to you. Please email me. Let me know what you thought, what you came up with. I think that is going to give us a good picture of what was going on there. Now, my take is that, was Atlantis real? Possibly. Is it like a planet X and there's a ton of different meanings behind Atlantis? I possibly believe that too. I think it was a time long ago, probably a place of great knowledge, and it's been forgotten, and it's now a mystical place. But I think at the time it existed, it may have been mystical. It was the age before this age. This place, as described by Plato, it had it was located, and as you can see, it had the rings. It spanned 15 miles across from ring to ring, with two waterways, and in the center island there was a spring that produced hot and cold water, and to provide the residents with drinking water and fresh water. Now all the rings contained seawater, and we know it was salt water, and it led to the ocean. Now there's a lot of things that say that the Rit, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Ritkrot structure that was discovered in the 1980s, because they could see it from space, and it matches up the dimensions of what Atlantis would be. Now, this is in the land of Moratoria in Africa. And back in those days, they said that the Atlantis, from Plato's description, Plato said that Atlantis was with cities that were built of black and red and white bricks and stones, and there was mountains to the north and plains to the south or east. I can't remember if it was south or east, probably the south. Plains, flat plains, fertile plains to grow, lots of crops to support that. And then there was also a land filled with gold and copper and all the minerals that they needed to survive on. What a mystical place that would be. And then the thing is, and then if you research it enough, you decide that, hey, Atlantis is somewhere in the middle of the ocean between North America and the European continent and Africa, somewhere in there. Now, most people agree, and the scientists, whatever, that it existed about 12,000 years ago, 10,000 years or 9,000 years after Plato learned about it. And since then, it's about 11 or 12,000 years ago, it's right around the 12,000 year mark now. The thing is if there was a continent in the center of the ocean, of the Atlantic Ocean, and that somehow sunk, does that mean that Atlantis had to be on that continent? Could Atlantis not be somewhere else? and be confused that the continent sunk and that Atlantis ruled over that continent? Kind of like, if we had our capital in Hawaii and the United States sunk and a great wave went over Hawaii and washed it away, would we really know that? We'd all talk about Hawaii. We wouldn't talk about the United States. It just sank. It was gone. It was So what I'm thinking is when that great land in the middle there sank, created a giant tidal wave, and Atlantis was in Africa in this Rick-Crott structure, and there was ocean water around it. It was in the ocean. But when that when that land sank, the ocean water had to go somewhere. And as you know, a puddle goes in and then it comes out. And if you see it from space, it looks like it's washed away. Well, maybe that's what happened to it. But tonight, we're going to go into a lot of what Atlantis is about, because from this is part one. And we're going to just discuss the thoughts of where Atlantis come from, the high points, and then we're really going to get into in the next episodes with different thoughts on what are the technicalities behind Atlantis, and what are the thoughts, and what does it mean to you when we talk about Atlantis? What and I sent you some ideas there, Lucky, about that. With you could ask your guides or whatever information. I can't even remember what it was, but it was not where is it, because they're not going to point and tell you where it is, because I'm sure there's a million other people who've asked that question before, and the general idea, if it and did Atlantis actually call itself Atlantis? We could start out with that, kind of thing. Were they, I'm an Atlantean, or were they another type of, were they even people? Were they the giants? I'm getting the feeling that they could have been the giants.
That is a very complicated question. For one thing, from my point of view, from what I understand, from what I'm told, is giants weren't always big. Giants just meant physically strong. They were physically strong individuals, spiritually strong individuals, and intelligence individuals. And the giants were the physical strong. So of course you could be big, you could just be strong. You could be normal size, but be incredibly strong, which there were individuals who were just overpowering. They might be size of other people, but they just could just take them on. There was Samuel, or not Samuel, Samson and Delilah. Samson.
Yeah.
He was pretty much almost the same size of other people. He was bigger, but of course he was unquestionably stronger than everyone else. That was a giant. Then of course the easy ones are the tall ones who are, they're just overpowering everyone else. That was one of the ideas that I was given. And of course, location, like I said, from what my guides are telling me, the Atlantis, that there is no place where Atlantis, because where Atlantis is gone. It was, there was the main site, and then there were colonies all over the place. And we know where the colonies were, because that's where most of civilizations sprang up from. And one of those locations where it was destroyed was on Africa, because when Atlantis, geologists know how geology is supposed to work from if the earth works in itself. But if you have a technological society that F's things up and their continent sinks, it's going to mess up everything else. So geologists will understand how, from here we know where it was before, but they wouldn't know anything about Atlantis, because Atlantis violated all the rules, and that's why they sank. And when Atlantis sunk, Africa, that part of Africa rose. So that's why that is almost in the middle of the desert. Actually, it's and they say, well, how could it be Atlantis? How could those rings be full of water? Because it was so far away from the water. And at that time, they believed that when that civilization was there, the glaciers were bigger, so that the water was actually further out. So it's all about what we understand scientifically versus how this society, very long time ago, mess things up. So yeah, exactly. You'll never quite find Atlantis itself because it is gone.
Yes.
It is the main Atlantis is gone.
Yes.
But the little tiny colonies of Atlantis are all over the place. Japan, Africa, of course, Egypt was one of them. There was India had some. You know, there was one somewhere around, I believe it was north of Europe, somewhere around Iceland, something like.
Hang on, I gotta grab my book.
It's all a mess. Yeah, but that's the idea. And of course, there were other questions you asked, and oh boy,
1,000 books, and I can't find them.
I mean, it just the Atlanteans themselves were human mostly, but there was also those who were genetically engineered individuals who weren't quite human anymore, and their systems were influenced, but we still have part of their DNA in ours, but it's in our junk DNA that doesn't have any messages in it. So the Atlanteans, they had better connection with all the DNA that is in our bodies that we actually don't even use, but the Atlanteans did use a lot of that, and that's what kind of messed things up, where you had individuals who are, you know, Egypt had the thoughts with the Anubis, with the ibis head, and they had was the falcon head, which was Horus, and the Basset, which was the cat head. They didn't have animal heads, but they had the minds that these different animals represented. So they were, you know, certain kind of intellectual individuals who expressed some kind of different aspect, because we think intelligence is a straightforward thing, but from the Atlanteans' point of view, intelligence, it's far beyond what we can even comprehend how their intelligence works. So being extremely intelligent, someone who basically is extremely intelligent who can fix a car will seem stupid to someone who's extremely intelligent who can do surgery, but vice versa. From a guy who can fix a car, you know, he's going to think the surgeon's an idiot because he can't he can't change his own tire. That was the Atlanteans, because each of them had such incredible intelligence that they were so, you know, far above everyone else in their certain brands. And that was one of the problems, is there was a struggle and there was a conflict between these, you know, highly intelligent individuals who both thought their way was better than the other ones.
Well, of course, because once you get too intelligent, sometimes you lose sight of common sense.
You don't want to listen to anyone else. That's the biggest, and that's what we're learning. It's always the same story over and over again, is when you don't listen to other people that you just disagree with, you're screwed. Yeah. And that's happening now. Yeah. People, wait, I'm right. And one of the things that the Inland guys told me is, there's no black and white. You know, he can be right, and have totally different ideas. You know, that is black and that is red, and how can it be both? It is that's how it is. You just because something disagrees with you entirely doesn't mean it's not right. And that's one of the problems that they would try to express to me, is these concepts, these really complicated ideas that, even those two things that may seem diametrically opposed, they can't exist the same. They're both right. Yeah. And that was Atlantis. They had so many different, and they didn't have to have two. They had dozens of different concepts and ideas, and all of them were right, but they did interact with the other ones, and from the other point of view, it's completely wrong. We're always pushed to that, and that's going to destroy every society when you can't understand someone else and you don't want to understand anyone else, because your idea is right. I'm completely right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You are completely right, and they're completely wrong. No, they're right too. Oh, how can they be right? Because that idea conflicts to my ideas, and that's, you probably got to listen. And that's, it just kept going around and around in circles with that. And it's, a lot of it was far beyond my understanding, and they had to pause and stop and restart again, because a lot of this gets really complicated when things that, like day and night, where one of the examples they give me is a cat. A cat can see perfectly well in daytime, but a cat can also see perfectly well at nighttime. These stupid little animals that live in our homes, they can see above what we can see. They can hear above what we can hear, and they can smell above what we can smell. And we're subservient to them, because they're our pets now. They if they were our size, they would destroy the earth.
Oh yeah. Exactly. And that's I said that once before about, we talked about our senses, and I said, that we were talking about ghosts or spirits or something, and our poor eyesight. We only see like 5 or 7% of the light spectrum, but if a dog or cat could see 8 or 9, holy cow, they would be so much better than us. And that's why they can see those things that we don't, or like a hawk, it sees a mouse running around on the ground, it's flying way up there, and it says, oh look, there's a mouse down there. Or he sits up on the hill and he watches it. How the heck does that hawk see that mouse from that far away? I mean, whew, go figure.
Yeah, the falcon actually can think so quickly. It travels so fast that we can't comprehend how fast because they literally have to turn a little bit, or they'll get killed because they go so down. They go faster than the jet plane just to kill. They knock into the birds that they want to kill, and there's like a subsonic jet hitting them. And if they don't know what they're doing, so they go so fast that we can't comprehend it. To a fly, we're ultimately very slow, and so that's why we can never hit a fly, because we're incredibly slow compared to them.
And
of course, scientists said, oh, cats can't see the color red and dogs can't see green, whatever they had. I forget what they said, but that's not the whole story. There's a reason why they can't see the colors that we can, because they don't need to, but they can still see better than we can. A dog can see a lot better than a human being. It's hear and smell. And
well, the question would be, how many other colors can they see that we can't?
That's another thing entirely, what the bees can see and what the birds can see. And exactly what they can see that we don't see, and we think we're superior because we can see all the rainbow, but their rainbow is just different than ours, and that's okay too.
Well, and that's fine. Like it says, it starts this whole nother path. And the question I'm thinking in my head is so then I'm imagining these Atlanteans, they weren't the same as us. No. I mean, as physical people, they were different.
Yes. And they destroyed themselves because they didn't destroy themselves from messing with the environment. They destroyed themselves from within. It's just, they just would not communicate with each other. And it was infighting and battles. And remember, they were also the superpower. There was no two superpowers. There was just one superpower, and that was the Atlanteans. And they were all over the world doing whatever they could. And they had, one of the examples they gave me was, I don't quite understand, but there's a TV show, The Stargate, or it was a movie, The Stargate. They had things like that, but they were not a ring that would turn. They were like rooms where half the room was one place, half the room was another place, and that was all over the world. So you had these certain, like the example what they said with greenhouses, that you had little greenhouses all over the world, and each greenhouse you can walk into one and come out the other. I don't understand how that would work, but they said that they were very small buildings, that they could come in one door, you come in and you go out the other side, you're in another country inside entirely. And these are the things that they would do. And of course, well, how do we have an example of that? Is because a lot of this tech that we have, it'd be gone. In about 5,000 years, our computers would be gone. If the sun came and just annihilated the Earth because of that, big solar flare, what will be left in 10,000 years is a lot of the rock things we built. Everything else, tech is going to be gone. It's going to be rotted away.
Well, and I think there was different tech. I'm thinking there was different technology back then. I mean, because of the fact that we limit ourselves. I don't know who's in control of the world, but I think in some ways we limit ourselves, like Tesla. He's a good example. He was trying to get, he had all these great ideas, and every time he had a great idea, somebody poo-pooed on it because we're not going to make any money on it.
Exactly.
And this world is all set up about how to make money on everything. And it's not about enlightening you or letting you grow and expand your knowledge and power and freedom. It's about controlling what you see, what you hear, where you're going, and how much you're going to accomplish in your life. And you're not going to really go anywhere, really. You're just flowing with the system of whatever they put in front of you.
Yeah, and the thing is that the money that we have right now, the ones that are in power don't care about money itself.
No.
But money controls us. And
Yes.
that's what they care about. They want to keep us controlled. So if there was free energy and stuff like that, we would not be under control, as easy to control and manipulate. So, I think
because they want you to go to work to pay for that energy.
And that's all they care about.
If I didn't have to heat my house and pay for the gas for my vehicle and, do all that stuff, what would I need so much money for? I would just need a little place of land, and I could heat my house, and I could make some food, and I could drive wherever or go wherever I want. Life would be real good. I wouldn't need much money, because energy is pretty much everything I pay for.
Yep. That's exactly. That's our lives. It's just energy.
And I heard something really interesting the other day. There was a study, and they were talking about genius kids, right? They did the study with genius kids that were, well above average, whatever. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, genius kids. And they took these genius kids and they monitored them. And as they went to school, they actually got dumber. And by time they were, I forget, older and, like high school or whatever, they kind of lost their geniusness. I mean, yes, they were kind of smart, but they didn't have fresh ideas. They weren't inspiring to think of things. Everything was, they were just repeating and mimicking whatever they were taught along the way. Sure, they may have read 1,000 books, but they could only quote and think of those 1,000 books. They couldn't like write a symphony and have a new idea. They were only stuck on in that box that they were put. And by the end of the study, almost every single one of those genius free thinker kids were, done. They didn't, so I think, so they were saying, why was the these famous people that were geniuses like Einstein, whatever, because they always had fresh ideas. Even when they dissected Einstein's brain, they said his brain was like a man of a 20-year-old or whatever, a young kid, young man, because he was maybe he didn't limit himself to what they said. Here, this is the way it is. Okay, that's all I can think. I can't think out of the box. And then you're stuck, and then you're just in that circle loop.
Just think, Einstein was always trying to learn. He was always learning new things. And even though the established system said, okay, we know everything, and now they oh, Einstein proved everything. You said, no, I'm going to keep going. And they said, oh, Einstein was wrong. He was okay with that. Being wrong was not his problem. He did have conflicts with other people because he didn't quite understand their ways, because he was, like everywhere, pride is always a problem, but he still was always learning new things. And that's how you stay young. That's honestly how you keep Alzheimer's away, they say, and dementia is you don't follow the system. You keep thinking about new things. If you don't, one of the things is they help people in the nursing homes is they gave them free courses in other languages. So they could communicate, because sometimes nursing homes had people from different areas, and it actually improved them physically, not just emotionally, but physically, by learning something that they never tried to do. So they could communicate with, their neighbor who was from another country who just dropped into the nursing home actually improve things. So now that was a study that was done, and they were like, they couldn't figure out these people actually improved by health-wise by being exposed to people from different countries, and it turned out they were learning their language. So there was something that was surprised. It was what they thought they were learning was something different, something totally new.
Because it keeps that brain going. Keeps your brain young and inspired and whatever. But anyway, I have let me get the thing. I got my PowerPoint presentation, man.
That's what I've been waiting for.
Okay. Yeah, I know it. I gotta pull it up though. I think I gotta pull it up, and because I just want to say hi to. Soon I'm gonna cover this page, and I won't be able to see everybody over here. But anyway, we got a lot of people. Scotty Boy's in the house. Project Skyfalls, thank you for coming. Pa Joe, I haven't seen Pa Joe in a while. And Gaza Cav, all the way from Australia. Jill Jarrett and Truth Seeker, thank you for coming. You put a smile on my face every time. Jules is up and at him, and Julie Stowe, thank you for coming. Much love and favor, she says. Thank you. I just want to thank everybody. Okay, I am going to put this on slideshow from the beginning. There we go. And now I got to shrink this, shrink that. I think that's how I got to do it. This, I haven't done it that many times, so if I screw it up, well, there. Okay, what do you see?
Decoding Atlantis with 70s backdrop.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's right. That's what we're talking about. Okay, don't call me Let's Go Brandon, that's for sure. I know what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. Decoding Atlantis, Milky Way Soul Tribe. And there we go. Time before it was recorded. Time of Atlantis, 12,000 years ago. And present day, 2022. I had fun with this, I really did. Okay, although most people around the world agree that the original Centauri hypothesis so far made the most compelling case where Plato's Atlantis once was. Unfortunately, there are two critical flaws with that theory, which have allowed critics over the years to maintain the story was just a myth. The first problem is that the hypothesis entirely disregards Plato's given chronology of 9600 BC. Another more significant problem with the original theory is that the primary island of Atlantis and the island that size of Crete and Plato said was supposed to be 9 kilometers away from the circular island within an island setting is not around the Centauri backdrop of 1600 BC. But as we talked about, all that's been washed away. You're talking thousands of years, bunches of tidal wave, earth changes, all of that. It's all gone, people. It's gone. You got to search really hard to just find remnants of it. Okay, so here we go with see, this is where it's like in between, that's what I'm saying. If you had a chunk of land like that sank, it's going to create a hell of a tidal wave and it's going to wash away a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay, so as we all know, a genuine discovery requires that all elements of physical description are present and all are in given order. In this case, if any of the clues given to us by Plato is missing, the elements are not arranged in the correct order, or the chronology does not coincide with Plato's given chronology. Then all we have is speculation. But does it? Can't we go to, see, and this is the thing, can't we go to other civilizations or other places and get their hypothesis and their memories of what Atlantis was? Okay, so Atlantis under 400 feet of water, as various oceanographic studies pointed out that the oceans and the Mediterranean were then lower by 400 feet. It was estimated that if the lost island of Atlantis was ever a real place, it had to be under 400 feet of water. Or did it? Because it got washed away. Or was it, the thing is we're looking for an island, but are we looking for an island that might not be in the ocean anymore? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Following Plato's description of the end, it reads, as a strong earthquakes and frequent floods associated with the rise of the oceans began to take a toll on the island for decades. Well, yeah, after thousands of years, anything takes a toll. But I think there was this is my thoughts, is I think there was a cataclysm that happened. And it could have been man-made by the Atlanteans, like you were talking about, or it could have been a cataclysm that happened from space or the planets or something like that too, and they were either trying to, I could see where they were probably knowing this was coming, and then they were trying to say, I'm right, let's fix it this way. I'm right, let's fix it that way. And then they really made it bad. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, exactly.
It's like right now they're always talking about, oh, there's an asteroid headed towards Earth, right? And everybody's like, oh yeah, we need to shoot it out of the sky. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, okay, but what if you blew it up, right? Like in the movies, they blew the asteroid up and it turned into a million little asteroids. And then they hit the Earth and literally destroyed everything on the Earth instead of one big one hitting it. So instead of, ruining half of the Earth, you ruin the whole damn thing. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is once they hit it, what will they create? It's like the butterfly effect. What will this action take? Even if they deflected the asteroid away, they deflected it, the path it takes might associate something else to cause another thing, because it comes around again, and that might influence another.
And I always, and I totally agree. But here's the thing: if there's an asteroid that's going to hit Earth, right? And we deflect it, right? And so it misses Earth and it keeps going through space. And now it goes and hits another planet where there's, say, other aliens living on it. And they're like, we didn't predict this to come. And they follow it back and say, oh man, this was supposed to hit this planet over here. And instead of destroying, they deflected and shot it at us.
Right. Exactly.
Holy cow. You just pissed off some other race of people. That's my thoughts. Okay. This talks about the island Centauri, a sea volcano with a collapsed center prior to the volcanic eruption of 1600 BC, had only a single opening on its outer ring. The volcanic geology, not one but two island volcanoes, justify the reported natural springs of hot and cold water, as I was saying. So, but I don't think that they were right there. Okay, now we go back to who created Atlantis, who was running the show. And it was, according to them, it was Poseidon. He was the god, the sea, and his home. He started Atlantis. He was, one of the, I don't know what to call him. We call him Poseidon. He's it'd be Neptune or whatever. He's one of the gods. I imagine he's pictured in and everything as a larger being. See, I'm thinking that he would have been one of those giants, and or long-lived people. I'm not sure, but then he appointed a king to rule over Atlantis, and his name was Atlas, if you don't know that. Okay, and this goes on. The son of Kronos and Rhea. Poseidon had two brothers. I figured I'd fill in a little of the mystery behind this. Poseidon had two brothers, Zeus and Hades, and three sisters, Hera, Demeter, and Hista. All six were children of the Titans, Kronos and Rhea. The Titans were the children of Uranus, heaven, and earth. Realizing the depravity of his children, Uranus devised the name Titan to mean stretcher or strainer, because he saw his offspring stretching and straining the limits of prosperity and thereby guaranteeing an ignoble fate. And this is kind of what you're talking about. They were stretching and straining the limits of their knowledge. Because if you're a son of one of the gods, you're going to be smarter, stronger. You may have some abilities that the normal human population doesn't have, right? Atlantis, known as a myth as Poseidia, is a setting. Like, remember I was talking about that. Were the Atlanteans calling themselves Atlanteans, or were they calling themselves something else? And that's why we're all messed up too. We're looking for the big sign that says "Welcome to Atlantis." And we're looking for, actually that wasn't them. is a setting of in Ghosts of Sparta. It is the domain of Poseidon and is the place of the greatest temple. The children of Rhea and Kronos were destined to rule heaven and earth, but it was not a simple matter to dethrone Kronos and assume control. The brothers of Kronos came to his assistance, and the battles ensued and came to be known as the War of the Titans, as we all heard on the cartoons and the myths and the movies. What was the city of Atlantis a place, or Plato told the story of Atlantis around 3600 BC. The founders of Atlantis, he said, were half god and half human, which I think is a kind of a dangerous situation there. They created a utopian civilization and became a great naval power. Their home was made up of concentric island, separated by wide moats and linked by a canal that penetrated to the center. And as you can see, that's kind of how it looked. Well, and that makes all the sense in the world. You know, this was their capital, but does their capital have to be in the middle of the ocean? Right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, their capital could have been, doesn't have to be on one of those islands or in the middle of the ocean. It could have been anywhere, and that was just one of their territories. And we are looking for it in the wrong place. This was just where the god, like when you go to Olympus, right? And Zeus and them all live on Olympus, on the top of the mountain. You know, they don't live everywhere. They just live on the top of that mountain. And so anyway, this gives you a little bit of idea what it looked like. Okay, the tale, according to the Egyptians, or rather what Plato described as Critias, reporting what his grandfather was told by Solon, who heard it from the Egyptians. See, now you get it passed down from one to the other to the other. But the Egyptians did keep good records. They did. And I think they had, but, you know, it's 9,000 years ago. You know, sometimes stories get changed a little too. Once upon a time, there was a mighty power based on an island in the Atlantic Ocean. This empire was called Atlantis, and it ruled over several other islands and part of the continents of Africa and Europe. Atlantis was arranged in concentric rings of alternating water and land. The soil was rich, and said Critias, the engineers. I missed that part. The engineers technically accomplished the architecture extravagant with baths, harbors, installations, and barracks. The central plain outside the city had canals and a magnificent irrigation system. Atlantis had kings and a civil administration, as well as an organized military. Their rituals matched Athens for bull baiting, sacrifice, and prayer. But then it was waged an unprovoked imperialistic war on the remainder of Asia and Europe. When Atlantis attacked, Athens showed its excellence. As the leader of the Greeks, the much smaller city-state, the only power to stand against the Atlanteans alone, Athens triumphed over the invading Atlantean forces, defeating the enemy, preventing the free from being enslaved, and freeing those who had been enslaved. After the battle, there were violent earthquakes and floods, and Atlantis sank into the sea, and all the Atlantean warriors were swallowed up by the earth. Now, see, now that makes no sense. Does it? Okay, so.
Well, yeah, there's because you said yourself, things change, and these aren't written on papyrus. They weren't printed like our books. They were written by scribes, and every time the books themselves started to degrade, someone else had to copy them. And each time they copied them, they go, okay, this is hard to read. I understand. And they put their little aspect onto it. So yeah, also this is told by a Greek. This is told by an Athenian who was proud of his people. And the story itself, well, you know what? These people are going to listen to the story unless, you know, proud Athenian victory. So yeah, this makes total sense to me from the point of the person telling the story.
Yeah, okay, but when I'm reading this, I'm thinking the Athenians
Yeah.
and the Greeks weren't around.
Oh
This was
no,
10,000 years before he's getting
no,
the story from the Egyptians.
right,
Atlantis had already sank and was gone.
right.
They weren't there to fight the Greeks, and then
No,
they
but there
were,
was right.
huh?
Exactly. That's the thing, is that the it might have been that the Greeks had some of their tech,
Oh
and
yeah,
they were proud about that, that maybe they got a little bit more tech, they got better tech than the Egyptians. But this is all perspective, so maybe, yeah, so this doesn't make any sense at all time wise. No, this makes no sense, absolutely no sense at all. But from the point of storytellers, people are just proud and vain, so yeah.
well, exactly, because if they're telling the story as the Atlanteans are fighting the Greeks and
Yeah,
them, the story would be current. I mean, it would be within the last couple hundred years then.
exactly, yes, yes, yeah.
But instead he went there, and there was 9,000 years before that. So, he's looking on see, that's where it starts to get a little fuzzy. He took the past with
Right.
this advanced civilization and matched it up to their civilization now and said, we're so darn good. We beat those Atlanteans, even though they had more tech and more
Right.
stuff.
Mhm.
We were, even though they didn't even know what Atlantean, they're just, it's just, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. Okay.
Right.
Okay, Poseidon rides the waves in his chariot and carries his distinctive trident, which he uses to smite the earth and sea. Techites are the 9 dog-headed sea creatures who are great artisans. Crafted and trident of Poseidon are as well as the sickle of Zeus. Although Poseidon is intimately linked to the sea, his most honored creation is the horse. The horse came into existence when Poseidon was vying with the goddess Athena for the adoration of the human race. The competition was proposed to see which of the 2 immortals could devise the most cunning gift for the mortals of the earth. Poseidon crafted the horse, and Athena brought forth an olive tree. The olive tree was such a wonderful creation that Athena won the competition, and the city of Athens was named her. The olive was used as food, oil, and wood for larger trees were used for building ships. Poseidon's gift of the horse was by no means unappreciated. The horse literally changed the shape of ancient Greek world. See, and this is where, Poseidon was still alive, and the Greeks, they would have just they would have known where Atlantis was. See, they're talking like he showed up one day and gave him a horse. I think this is more of a myth than a legend, kind of thing.
There's a lot to that, honestly, because horses evolved on North America. Are you frozen? Oh, you're frozen. Oh, so I guess he's out of the show. Oh, this is sad. Oh, well, I do know that you can hear me at least. So yeah. Oh, I'm still there. Oh, great. I'm talking. Great. Well, I do know the horses evolved in North America, and unfortunately, supposedly the Native Americans killed off all the horses, but then later, when everything came together, the Europeans brought horses to North America that weren't there. So the history of the horse is a strange and wonderful thing. But I don't have the information that Robert was trying to tell. And unfortunately, I don't know what else to say. And I'm hoping he comes back because I have nothing. That is unfortunate. Let's see. Maybe we can get the chat going. Yeah. Oh, well, I have nothing prepared for this. It's unfortunate. So where do I go from here? I don't know. Sorry, guys. I mean, it's almost the end of the show anyways, and I have nothing prepared. We can all do the wave. Yeah, great. I'm embarrassed at this point. So how's everyone doing? I could wait for Robert, but he looks like he's out. Oh, there he is. He's coming back soon. So I will vamp for a little while. Okay, what do I know? Well, I do know about the giants that, I looked into the giants, and the giants didn't actually mean tall as much as physically strong. And there were two groups of beings, were the dark ones and the bright ones. And the whole idea behind that is that energy has no positive, negative. Energy is just energy. And how we humans bring it to fruition is what it becomes. So if we're positive, we're in love, compassion, joy, happiness, it becomes the bright ones, and it becomes positive. And those beings that we create to survive off of compassion, happiness, and love, they become stronger, and they want to bring more happiness, love, and joy to life. But then if we create the other ones, the dark half, which we call demons, which actually the word demon actually means enlightened one or special one, spiritual one. They're called the negative beings, the dark ones. They feed off fear and anger and war and aggression, and we create them. And then, of course, they want more energy, that kind of energy, because that's what they were created for. So they're going to cause, if they can't get it, they're going to give you a little bit of fear. They're going to a little bit of anger. They're going to work off that. This has nothing to do with Atlantis, and unfortunately, I'm just trying to vamp here and try to figure out what else to say because of my notes of, talking to my guides. What else do I got here? Oh, yes, the word demon actually is a Greek word. Deity of divine power, a lesser god, guided spiritually. So we call demons something that as an evil entity, but demons themselves are just, lesser than gods. So it's strange how our language has changed things, taking something that actually was kind of ambivalent, wasn't negative, wasn't really positive, which was just a spiritual being, and made it as an evil thing. So everyone's afraid of the demons, but really demons themselves are not negative as themselves. It's what they're created for, and they'll just keep feeding upon it. But I really should have done more research on Atlantis and use kept the note work. So this is me totally out of my element. So I did have notes on Atlantis, but I kind of buried them in the other things. And I don't know where they are. And if I keep looking, I'll find them. Atlantis was using magic. Well, no, Atlantis was using many different things. The thing about Atlantis is they were using tech that was also organic, where they were using thought forms, where they were actually able to utilize their own physical being to accentuate the tech. It's like it was Elon Musk wants to put the chips into our brains, sort of thing. They were doing that already, that kind of aspect. It was less invasive than what we're planning on doing now, but they had different knowledge than we do. And how history is basically told from the victor. Whoever has the most power, they'll basically make the history that make them better. So that's the great thing about our history books, is who's it written by. At the end of you can see different history books, and although we have a better way of keeping them because our books are on printing presses, and probably Atlanteans probably had printing presses also, but the civilizations that grew out of them, they didn't have printing presses. They just have people who are specifically trained in order how to copy things. And we human beings don't actually copy things exactly. We just we want to put our little aspect on things. We're proud. Human beings, the great thing about humans is we're proud, and we'll try to put our own fingerprint into everything we do. That's what the scribes are doing. Even though they would write the same thing over and over again, they made sure they put their little bit of handiwork in it so everyone will remember what they wrote. The Atlanteans using thought forms? Yeah, well, everyone was using thought. Basically, all the ancient civilizations were using thought forms because to them, that was normal. Thought forms were basically normal. Angels and demons, it was just, that was part of life using that thought forms. And every civilization had their own personal gods. And up until Constantine, when he said to them, yeah, you know what, there are too many people, too many priests with too much power. Let's put it under one individual. That will be me. I will be the head of the religion and head of the state. It's all about power. It's all about money. It's all about taking control of the people. He who has the most money rules. Well, I need more money to prove that I deserve where I am. History is never recorded right with, they record chemtrails and Planet X right. Well, I don't even know what Planet X even is, which keeps wanting to come and it never comes. So maybe it did come and it's been, cloaked. Or maybe we're just in the simulation. Maybe this is all just a copy and we're living in the copy. So Planet X may have actually come to Earth and a nice little civilization, but we're in the copy. So they decided to eliminate that part of the story to see what happens. Hey, look at this. Linda's entering. Hello. Hello? No sound. Okay. We're in the history that tells us who put us on Earth and after the flood. They don't, probably the who's not as important as, why, we're just, actually, it doesn't really matter who put us on and why they put us on. It's all in our own power. What happens doesn't really matter.
Oh my gosh.
It's all our own power. Hello, Linda. You had a bad connection too. That's a good question. We can look and see what our history was and what put us where we are, but that doesn't matter. Our history doesn't matter. Our future doesn't matter. It's how we do with it right now is what we have. How we create what we have with, live in the now. Because today is the most important part. Because you can only control it today. You can't control the past. The past is already gone. You can try to relive it, but it's messes you up. You try to figure out how to make the future better. But again, there are so many different aspects that will mess things up. But if you control the now, you're better off.
Hey, Lucky, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Can you see me?
I can see you, but you're frozen.
Yep, I have that issue with my computer. We've been working on my camera all day, and I was supposed to be on there with you guys, but I had some personal stuff come up at the last minute. I was actually going to talk about The Atlantis Secret, which is a book by Alan Alliford. I watched him on Rex Bear the other day, and he actually talks about how Atlantis was a philosophical concept by Plato. It wasn't actually a place, it was about the creation of the universe. And because he was not a historian, it wasn't mentioned, in lots of the historians back then never mentioned it, like Herodotus, Hecatius, most of those people, they didn't say anything about Atlantis. But Plato was like a philosopher and like a part-time mythologist. So most of his work as a true philosopher lay primarily in the metaphysical and otherworldly matters. And his account of Atlantis is unlikely to actually have anything to do with the history or geography. Rather, it was rooted in myth and mysticism and esotericism, the metaphysical world. So what they talk about is throughout his writings, if you look through, there's really no connection to many of the historical events that happened, truly happened for in that time period, certain wars and things like that. You know, the greatest wars of history then had been the Greeks and Persians and the Battle of Marathon. And these really don't mention ever the things that happened at Atlantis. So it's been called to question that that possibly he wasn't actually talking about a physical place, but it possibly could have been a Stargate, you know, like he was talking about, Robert was just talking about the formation of Atlantis possibly wasn't on the earth. It could have been in the heavens. And what he saw and everything had to do with encounters he had in the metaphysical. But that's a great book to read. It's called The Atlantis Secret by Alan Alford. And it's the complete decoding of Plato's lost continent. But I've also recently heard that Lemuria and Atlantis haven't completely sank, that Lemuria is actually suspended in water and has something to do with Atlantis as well. So basically it's like the ley lines, the electric ley lines that we have are kind of suspended in the earth. So who knows? You know, it's still a mystery as to whether was this actually a landform that was here, or was it something that Plato saw in his ethereal world while he was out there, you know, visiting out in the etheric. But I don't know what other people think about that. Have you ever heard that theory or that thought?
Yes and no. I've heard different aspects of that. You know, being that Atlantis was a concept. It was an allegory. You know, I've heard about that because that's what Plato was a teacher, so he would use whatever he came. So I mean, I think there was always that part. There was always a kernel of truth in everything, and he would just extrapolate upon that. So you know,
Yeah.
I think at the time Atlantis was a known thing. It just Plato put his own aspect, put his own spin onto it. That's, you know.
Yeah, Alan's main key theory points are that Atlantis was actually a metaphor for a primeval underworld, which was the interior of the earth, and that the invasion of the known world by Atlantis was allegorized through the eruption of the underworld. So that's like a key aspect of the creation myth. And then the ancient Athens, which represented the ideal or archetypal city, first existed in the sky in the form of a celestial body, such as like a metaphorical city. And that the defeat of Atlantis by the ancient Athens allegorized the fall of the sky and the war between heaven and earth. So, you know, that's where he's basing his research upon, that Plato wasn't a true historian. He actually dealt with the metaphysical. And these were the things that he felt like Plato was trying to bring forth in his writings that ended up being taken literally, kind of like a lot of things in the Bible, you know, like there's some things in all works that there were things that were said and done that weren't actually literal, but they were taken literally. So I don't know how to work this with with Robert being gone. Is he back? He's back.
I'm back. Yes,
I jumped in to try to help. I was in the chat and I saw you leave, and Lucky was like, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, well, I have a little bit of stuff I can say. So.
Well, you know, and that yes. It kind of when one drops out, it's like, I've been there and it's like, oh, and then you're like, I was having a conversation and now I'm by myself. And the only one that I know that can talk to himself all night long and never miss a beat is Scotty Roberts. Big shout out to him. Man, I tell you what, he don't need other guests because he just he's awesome talker. He's good. He's
That-
good
And I
with it.
know I'm probably frozen. I'm moving in my camera over
Yes.
here, but we've been working on it all night. I got a new camera. I got a new microphone. It's just, Zoom doesn't like me for some reason. It's
Apparently not. We'll have to try StreamYard or something, see if it works better for you.
Yeah. Okay. That might.
I can do them both, either one. I just do Zoom because I'm been doing Zoom for a while and I'm good at it.
All right.
So-
Well, I was just jumping in to try to.
Oh, I
It was
appreciate.
like,
See,
I don't know what to say.
see your thoughts on the Atlantis thing. That's kind of what I was going for. Is this, was it real? Was it partly real? Was it kind of real and then mostly made up? And I think, like Lucky says, there's a bit of truth to it all. It's just how much has been exaggerated. If it did exist 10,000 years or 12,000 years ago now, how much has been added on to it or taken away? Because every time you talk about the Atlanteans, it gets bigger and better. The story it's sunk to the bottom. They all turn to mermaids, and then,
Yep.
and they're still swimming around down there. And they popped up as fish people every now and then or something. Come on, really?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the merits of the creation myth theory is with him actually identifying Atlantis with the underworld, it does allow Atlantis to be in the Atlantic Ocean, which symbolizes the subterranean sea. It allows it to be sunk. It allows it to be larger than two continents. I mean, it's like very fundamental points to the creation myth theory that would allow this to be something beyond what people are taking it as literally. So
yeah, I do believe that there was a place, a physical place of Atlantis at one point in time. But you give it 10, we can't even remember our own history from 500 years ago accurately. So how are we going to, imagine that we're going to tell a story that's 12,000 years old and today it's going to be accurate?
Exactly. We got to work with what we got. That's what we're trying to do.
The land has changed. The geography has changed. Things happen like he was saying in the beginning there, happened unnaturally. Due to, other aspects that they created, like we were talking about something common to us is, a meteorite could hit the earth, but if we're going to send something up there and blow it up. Well, now 10,000 meteorites are going to hit the earth. They're going to wipe us all out. Did they do something like that? Like, oh, well, we know there's a flood coming, or we know there's something coming, and we're going to do this and fix it. And instead they really fixed it because like you said, they were both right. Two groups of people who were so smart and so right that they couldn't agree on anything. And what if they both tried something and it interacted with each other and made it even worse?
Yes. Which I could totally see us doing now today.
Yeah, exactly. One saying, well, if we shoot a laser into the earth, it'll do this. And the other guy saying, well, if we shoot a laser out of the earth, it'll do that. And, but now you're doing both. And, it's like mixing medicines. If you take the red pill and then you take the purple and blue pill together, you're going to have a bad reaction.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're both good pills if you take them one at a time. And I think that's where we're going. Now, if I can get my screen share back up here, I think I'll have to do this first, and then I'll have to go to this. Hang on. I don't want to do that. Hang on, slideshow. Yeah, from the beginning. Okay, and then I got to go here. I got to shrink this one. Sorry. I want to get this up. We're so close to getting done. I got to stop this and then redo that. And then it was really good, I thought. What'd you think of my slideshow?
Yeah, your slideshow was fantastic.
Okay, good. Okay, now here we go. We've seen all of these.
That's the problem. It was so good. I mean, I'm like, yes, okay. And then you go away and I'm like, what do I do now? I don't have a slideshow.
I know. I wish I could figure out how to send this to you. Now, Courtney was talking about the Emerald Tablets and Thoth. He was supposedly an Atlantean, and this is where I wanted to go from there. Is Thoth was a god of pursuit of knowledge or record keeping, so he would have been holding the records for Atlantis. But originally, he was a lunar deity, keeper of time, waxing and waning of the moon, and was a key marker and cyclical passage of the seasons. He was a divine judge, a son of Ra, a scientific knowledge, and was said to be held in the sacred books in the House of Life, and included in them was the Book of Thoth, which comprised of 42 papyrus scrolls and was written by the god himself. Now remember, we already found out that Poseidon had a bunch of sons and daughters, and Atlantis was ruled by half man, half god people. And I imagine Ra was one of them. Ra was firstborn. Shu, the heir, was to rule in his stead once he left the earth and went to the sky. And Ra deputized Thoth to act with his own authority during the night. Thoth was tasked with upholding law and order, bestowing mankind with the gift of writing and illuminating the night sky. Thoth was depicted as having the head of an ibis, which is a long beak wading bird. That's what you were trying to talk about earlier, Lucky, was that the ibis was the, with the different heads you were talking about in the beginning?
Yep.
And then this text is referred to the Emerald Tablets, an ancient text supposedly carved in emerald or green stone, though the actual tablets have never been found. Now, I didn't know that. I thought they're reading these tablets, yada, yada. They've never been found. No one is sure when the tablets were actually written, but they were attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the thrice great, a legendary object that contains the cryptic inscriptions. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, or Tabula Samaradina, is believed to contain the secrets of the world. It was a highly influential text during the medieval and Renaissance times and remains the subject of many works of fiction, from novels to legends and films. See, I always thought this was, written in stone kind of thing, and that nobody knows where they are, if they were at all. As a god of writing and knowledge, Thoth is believed to have invented hieroglyphics and written magical treatises about the afterlife, the heavens, the earth. He is also considered to be the scribe of the gods and the patron of all the arts. The Emerald Tablet is attributed to him too. It is thought to contain the secrets of the world hidden away for centuries, only to be found by initiates of later generations. It is widely believed that the Emerald Tablet was carved into green stone or an emerald, even emerald, but the actual tablet has never been found. A legend says that it was placed in a cave tomb under the statues of Hermes in Taina, Turkey, at some point around 500 to 700 CE. Another myth says it was discovered and then reburied by Alexander the Great. However, its earliest version came from the treatise of natural philosophy known as the Book of the Secret of Creation and Art of Nature. So it's been around a long time, but everybody looks at these pictures. I've looked at these pictures myself. I always thought they were real.
Mm-hmm.
We've been searching for Atlantis for a long time. They've been searching since way back in when. Look at how scientists plan to probe for Atlantis by breaking through thin submarine crust under which the legendary land is declared to be hidden. Way back in the day, they were talking about this stuff. What do we know about the tablets? And then Adad, the Atlantean concept of Atlas, imported into Sumer after 3000 BC. Adad was a fire god symbolized by an active volcano. Its summit wreathed by a constellation of Pleiades and the Atlantes, or daughters of Atlas. Oppenheimer writes that the Sumerian version of the flood was a the storm came suddenly with a loud noise and darkening the sky with his talons. According to the Sumerian version of the deluge, no one could see anyone else. They could not be recognized in the catastrophe. The flood roared like a bull, like a wild ass screaming. The winds howled, the darkness. Yeah, so there you go. Was it technology or was it magic? I think it was a little bit of both. You know, we're so set in stone that it all has to be electronical, but we're finding out that magic exists and it's inside us. And if we look to nature, maybe nature provides more magic than we can really comprehend. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, Bahar, I'm going to mispronounce a lot of these words. Alta, literally the Sea of Atlas, a southern Tunisian archaeological site known as Shat el Jared, with concentric walls enclosed what appears to be a centralized place that resembles the citadel of Atlantis, is described by Plato. Nearby hills are locally referred to as the mountains of Tay or the great Atlantean water. Bahar Alta was probably an Atlantean outpost in the tourists during the late Bronze Age from the 16th to the 13th centuries BC. We have no idea, really. Okay, Albach in Celtic. See, this is where I think when that island sunk and those people scattered, they went to all four corners of the earth, because this is where I go on about all these other civilizations. We have to look to other civilizations because they took the wisdom with them. They took that knowledge. They took the myths with them. In Celtic and pre-Celtic myth, an Atlantic island whose name meant rich in apple trees, it was ruled by the Irish version of Poseidon, the sea god. Mana, Albach, is paralleled by the Garden of the Herperides, a sacred grove of apple trees at the center of Atlas's island, tended by the Hesperides, who were Atlantis, daughters of Atlas. And that was a Celtic myth. And I think that is all I had. There you go. But you know, like I said, it's one of those things that, you know, and I got this book here. I'll blow it up for everybody to see. Okay, so I got this book. Wayne suggested it, the Atlantis Encyclopedia. Very good. It tells, I'm just starting on it, but it goes through all these other societies that, you know, have stories of Atlantis. And, you know, that boils down into, you know, the myth of it. I think that's where we're really going, is it's a myth. It was a real place, but yet, like Linda, like you were saying, it's there, but it's could be up in the heavens or down below. It got washed away and then it just turned into something else. No?
Yeah. Or it could have possibly kept sinking down from the heavens and ended up landing, ended up being a form here, a land form here, you know, and there's just so many things, you know.
Well, the thing is if the gods came here and started like Poseidon, say Poseidon was the god, you know, as we call him, you know, and he came here, he would have been an alien.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been from here. And then he, you know, had children who were of here, and then they were half alien and half human. And then you know, you see where I'm going with this? But Poseidon didn't stay here. You know, he left his children behind to rule. And so did Ra. Ra got old and he went, where did he go? Back into the heavens. He did not stay. So you know, like what I'm trying to say is, when you were talking about the heavens, yeah, they came here from above, and then that's why everybody always is looking. You know, you're talking and hey, you know, people are doing it. They do that all the time. I've done that. What are you doing? And look up. I don't look down. Hey, you doing to me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm glad I got everything back up and running.
Yeah.
Thanks for saving me, guys. I tell you, I appreciate that. Woo. But anyway, what do you two got to say about this? Okay, I did a lot of talking, did my thing.
There's a lot to it.
Go ahead, Lucky.
Oh no, that's it. There's a lot to it, and it's a lot more to think about than I could possibly get my mind around. I mean, we keep saying the same thing. I mean, history is written by, you know, those who are in power. So what we know now is just from people who put their own spin onto it, and what the truth is, it's somewhere in there, but I don't know what it is.
Yes, I agree. I don't think any of us know exactly what it is. It's kind of like the Bible thing, you know. Was there, you know, the big controversy, was there a Jesus or wasn't there a Jesus? Why don't these stories make sense? This is impossible, that's impossible. And then after a while you start throwing it all out, because you're like, yeah, that just doesn't seem right. But yet inside all of that, there's a hint of truth that it's probably all based on, you know. Mm-hmm. I guess, and then they built on that to make it into something else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, Alan, in his book, he reminds us that there's really no archaeological evidence for the history of the war between Athens and Atlantis. And there's no evidence of a sunken island continent on the Atlantic Ocean floor. And the historians back then, you know, Herodotus and Socrates had never heard of the Athens-Atlantis war. And Plato did insist on the poetic nature of Solon's story by comparing it to the great poems of Homer and Hesiod. So he believes it makes more sense that Atlantis signified the true myth of the creation of the universe and encapsulated ideas like that the lost paradise and the fall of the sky, the mystery of the underworld, the mystery of the soul and spirit that had brought everything to life. So Atlantis actually became a symbol for like a spiritual quest, the quest for knowledge of the universe, the quest for knowledge of the origins of life, and the quest for what life truly is. So, you know, who knows? You know, we're out here trying to navigate this with what information we have, and to search for Atlantis here on Earth in the form of a lost civilization is like the veritable like antithesis basically of Plato's philosophy. So, you know, we just have to keep searching and you know, try to figure this out basically.
Well, I totally agree. I do think though that I do believe there had to be an actual place and an actual people at one point in time, because how else would all these other cultures have remnants or recall of such a place, you know? Yes. Little tidbits, you know, this society, that society, each one saying, oh yeah, there was this island with advanced technology or great people, there were this, that, or the other. But see, it was so long ago, you know, the winners of the wars and the myths and the tales got taller and taller, and like the war between the Atlanteans and the Athens there and the Greeks and whatever, that couldn't have happened because the timeline would be all wrong. I mean, it was 10,000 years before Plato, and that means that the Greeks wouldn't have been around. They would have, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have been there. There would have been no Greeks. And then Atlantis would have been destroyed and moved on already thousands of years before them. But yet the Greeks could have been part from the Atlanteans. They could have got some technology, information, because the Greeks popped up with lots of skills. They had writing and great thinkers and buildings and architecture, and it was like this civilization that just popped out of nowhere with all this advanced knowledge.
Yes. And so then you got to look at, why did they destroy like the library in Alexander? Like, so the knowledge may have been passed along and now we don't have it. And a lot of the times the elders were the ones that carried all the knowledge and they passed it on by word of mouth and didn't even write it down. So you just get bits and pieces. So this, like you said, where did they get all this technology from? So there is some basis to believe that Atlantis existed and these other great, Lemuria, the great civilizations that had advanced technology had to have been out there at some point in time. So just because we're not seeing the physical evidence of it and we can't find it anymore and there's no written evidence, doesn't mean it didn't exist at all. It could have been destroyed. And since everything was passed on mostly by word of mouth from elders and things like that, then that's probably where they got their knowledge from, basically, so.
Well, like right now, both of you, do you not agree that we live in a great society, an advanced society?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we just unplugged, took away all the electricity, how advanced would we be after 10 years?
Exactly.
But now just say all they put us all on a deserted island. And even though you, me, Lucky, all of you out there in YouTube land, we all have information in our head, right? We all know how to do something. And we land on a deserted island and it has all the minerals and trees and things we could possibly want, right? And we're on this deserted island and it has all that stuff, all the building blocks we ever need to make and do anything. How long would it be for us to get society going again and build computers and TVs and, have cell phones and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I was just talking about this yesterday with my fiance. Is if we were to have a nuclear war right now that wiped out a lot of the country, okay, so we would still have people that survived that knew how to do things and pass knowledge along. But say 500 years from now, they're looking back, they're walking in ruins, and then, in a couple hundred years, and then 500 years, they've built civilization back up. But then they start digging up our old archaeological evidence and they're like, whoa, wait, they had electricity back then. They had batteries back then. Like, it's basically what we're doing now. Is these huge civilizations were here, they got wiped out. And now you go back and look, and there's so much evidence that most of the things we had today, they had that knowledge back then and far exceeded it. They had things that we haven't even designed or built yet. So yeah, how long does it take if something cataclysmic happens to rebuild a society back into, the advancements that we have today?
Well, and if, like you said, you lost all of that, what would be your primary concerns? It wouldn't be, oh, let's build a giant army. It'd be, well, how can we grow food? How can we irrigate? How can we grow better seeds, build a nice house that will keep us warm? How can we make a spear or a arrow so that we can go hunting? Because, we can't really make some gunpowder, because what's the use of having gunpowder really isn't that hard to make. Yet making the barrel and the gun is a lot more difficult, and then putting all the little parts together. Oh, it's got to have that little spring and the little trigger thing. And, and you don't have time for that. You got to get food. Let's get you, and we'll have enough metal from this old iron, and you pound it out and then go hunting. You all go hunting and get us some food, and you ladies over here, you put up the food, and you guys over there start cooking the food, and them guys over there go get some logs, and we're going to make a saw. That's important, to saw the wood, to get the firewood, to cook the food, and survival would be your first. And then if you had a computer, you wouldn't look at it. Oh, look, remember when we had cell phones? I'm going to make one of these. Well, Back to the Future. That was a good movie. You've both seen it, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And Back to the Future 2, Doc goes back into the Western, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, the car broke, and I don't have transistors won't be invented till 1948 or whatever it was. And
That was three. That was three.
That was three. That was three. Two, he couldn't get gas because gas wasn't invented yet,
right. Yes,
either.
Exactly. Yes.
So he couldn't power the car, or the rubber tires. That wasn't invented yet,
Mm-hmm.
And then when he went back into the other, he didn't have the transistors. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
1955, he didn't have the transistors.
That was two. Yes.
Yeah. And it was like, so he was like, to invent that, he'd have had to change all of history so he could get that one transistor piece to put in there to fix the car. I love that movie. But it'd be the same way. His basics was, what did he do? He went back to the West. It doesn't work. Well, I'll become a blacksmith. Yeah. There you go.
But if we lost all of this stuff, if we lost the cell phones, the computers and everything, as long as we are on an island with everything we need, why would you want society? Society gets messed up. Society gets corrupted.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you have to start surviving. Think of it. You could, if I gave you a pile of iron, right? How would you make it? And I said, okay, you got a big pile of iron here, and it's just in the raw form.
I don't want iron.
Iron, copper, whatever you want.
No,
and
I got the whole idea is that depending where you are, there's everything you could possibly do to survive.
Yeah.
If you dropped on an island, what island it is, there's food everywhere. There's always food. There's toxic food, and then there's healthy food.
Well,
yeah. And then the problem is, it depends how many people there are. And unfortunately, if you build a society, you might end up getting corrupted more than anything else. So the simple ways are best. And that's what happened. Maybe that's why it took so long to get to where we are, is because back then the Atlanteans said, yeah, we messed everything up. We're not ready for this. So let's take it slower. And,
that could be.
Because that's one of the questions is, well, why don't we see all this stuff? Why did, if they had all the technology, why didn't, we didn't see technology in all these places? Well, maybe the Atlanteans said, we're not ready for this. Let's go to the simple ways,
It ruined us.
To make a forge, you'd have to have so much heat.
Yeah.
And you don't natural gas, you'd have to be able to harbor the natural gas. There's just copper to be the closest, and that still would be difficult. But steel, no, there's no steel.
Yeah, because I mean, just to make a hammer. Hey, I want a hammer to build a house. I need an axe to chop down a tree. We think it's so simple, just go out and buy one. But here we got all the raw materials, and then you say, well, make one.
Right.
And it's like, what an undertaking that would be. You'd have, like you said, you'd have to make the forge, you'd have to get some coal, you'd have to how are you going to beat that first hammer out, the metal, to make the first hammer with the hammer?
Yeah, it would be forever.
Yeah, it would take you a long time.
Take you
a very long time. But anyway, this is a great first one. We are going to have a part 2 because this is a big, thick book, and we're going to go over some of the other ones, different places. It goes in here. I bet you there's how much you want to bet the Cherokee have their own? This goes by one. There's a lot of A's in here. I'm going to see if I can find. You're all about the Cherokees, aren't you? H. H. I bet you they got their own myth and legend about that too. How do you spell Cherokee?
CH.
Yeah, that's what I got. CHE. Is it CHE? Nope. it does not have, it goes right to R. I thought there would have been one. But anyway, yeah, I know there's a bunch of them in here. It even talks about Edgar Casey and doing stuff. But you know, there's so many different cultures that had myths of this stuff. Plus I got another book up here too, and it talks about it. And was there leftovers like we were talking about, and they invented society? Are they the ones that went and did the Tartaria, and then that was a society that failed too? Or did the Tartarians just rename themselves from the Atlanteans? That's a good one too. Tartaria, Atlantis, you never know. But anyway, I want to hear from all of you out there. Send me an email what you think. We've gone for quite a while. I got to figure out how to shut this. A little long, but that was my fault because I shut down. Not planning on it. It just happens. I've been having really good luck, but yeah, well, it's one of those things, the little gremlins. But any last words?
It was fun.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty interesting.
Well, thank you, Linda, for showing up and rescuing Lucky. He was struggling there. Remember,
you're welcome.
Focus and don't get nervous. You were starting to get nervous a little there. I'm like, no, just start talking about. Start talking.
I'm not even prepared for something, and I had no prepared for anything. Everything was just everywhere. I have paper all over the place right now, and none of it was helpful.
Yeah, I heard you. I was actually getting me something to eat because I hadn't eaten dinner yet because I had some stuff that happened here at my house, and then I heard you and you were like, I don't have anything prepared. I was like, well, I got some stuff. My camera's gonna freeze, but who cares? Let's go in there and we'll, talk with Lucky because
Linda, you got to send me that name of that book or that guy, or you got a PDF on that or something. Or
yep, I'll send you the name of it, and actually you can. He did a live on Leak Project with Rex Bear a couple of weeks ago. So I'll send you the link to that so you can watch it too. Yeah.
I would like that.
Pretty cool.
Like it says, I'd love to get some different perspectives on here. And I want to do a few more shows on this. I'd like to get some different people here and there. What's her name? Veronica, remember she was on?
Oh, Burtnell. Yeah, I talked to her. It's very wild because I saw her on James Rink, and then I heard her interview there, and I really felt connected to her, and I wanted to talk to her. And that was like last year. And then you had her on your show, and so I got her email. Me and her talk now. Like,
wow. Yeah. I'm gonna see if she come back on because she was talking about Atlantis and stuff, and I think she'll have a really good connection with that. So, maybe I'll hopefully we get her on for another part 2 or 3 or something.
That would be a great show.
Yeah, but that's what I got. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all go because I'm on call and I gotta go to work. And everybody, thank you all for joining me. I know there's a few people in here I probably missed. Brandy Robinson came in, Michelle Canam Free, our love girl, Grumpy Stack was in the house tonight, rowling up the place. And of course, Mary wins. When Mary wins, we all win. That's for sure. And Mary, I got to send you that book. Sorry, I've been taking too long. I've been slacking. I'm a slacker. I've been working a lot. That's all right. But anyway, remember everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. And until next time, peace, everybody.
Good night.
It's just a little long-winded there. I was like, I was losing my train of thought. I got to end it.